While I was in D.C. for the Apollo 50th anniversary celebrations, I spent the day at Smithsonian Exhibits. Smithsonian Exhibits plans, designs, and builds exhibits for many of the Smithsonian museums and offices that create public-facing exhibitions. One of their model makers is Willow Collins, an extraordinary young maker who treated me to her fascinating backstory.
Willow, this is your desk, am I right?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell me what you do here?
I am the youngest model maker for the Smithsonian Exhibits department.
And I heard that you were tenacious in your application for this job.
Yeah, I actually was an intern at the Natural History Museum in high school, and I really wanted to be a forensic pathologist, which is why I went for that specific exhibit. And when I got there, I started looking around, and I thought to myself, wow, I actually really want to make this. This is so much more up my alley. I grew up in the back of a theater set. My mom was a seamstress and my dad was a contractor, so we were always building models as kids and everything.
A lifetime of making. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I actually went to college with the hopes of working for the Smithsonian making exhibits.
So you're that grown then?
Yeah.
You were built to do this?
Yep, I grew up here.
When did you start?
I was an intern. I was tenacious. I was an intern about just a year ago.
Okay.
And I got hired on in October. So it's been almost a year since I've been here, and it's incredible every day.
Has it exceeded your expectations?
You know what really exceeded my expectations?
Yes.
It wasn't just the scope of the work and how interesting it is, but the people who work here. The skills and the backgrounds and the intelligence and kindness of the people here really made it. You know, any job can be, oh, I thought I was going to love it, but if the people aren't what you want, then it's never going to really fulfill your dream. And
also, I have found that no matter how great the job is, and lots of jobs are great, it's always tough.
Yeah.
Like even the best job in the world, it's the hardest job in the world if
Right.
you're really giving, and the people make the difference.
Yes, they do.
So you find the skill base here, you find a lot of generosity, people sharing their skills, their techniques, their institutional knowledge.
Absolutely, and the fact that they come from so many backgrounds makes it that much better, because there's always someone who's like, oh yeah, I did that. How and when?
So what specific kind of making did you study in college, and how is that applied here so far?
So I was actually a traditional sculptor. I was wood and clay mostly, but when I came here, I actually had to teach myself in the 3 months that I was here how to use 3D modeling.
Oh, okay.
And I managed to produce 3 models for the opening of the 10-year Sant Ocean Hall. And so I came in right at the right time, and it was fascinating.
I think I saw one of your snails. I think I saw an early test of one of your snails. Is that right?
Yeah, the carinaria. That one was really fascinating because I love the problem solving that comes with model making, and having to make things in different parts and figure out how they all piece together. And it's not just, oh, you print it together. You know, you have to really suss out how they all come together like a puzzle piece, and I enjoy that.
Talk to me about what you're doing here, because I love brass, and it looks like you're making something that I'm particularly fond of, which is maybe brass mounts for museum things.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about this.
That is actually something I didn't realize would be so interesting, was mount making. Because the whole point of mount making is you never want anyone to know you were there. It's like magic.
Right.
And
but it's also got to hold these priceless objects securely and not damage them or dent them, right?
Yeah. Oh. And each object is its own curious new little adventure that you go on, and I love even working on massive amounts of them versus one specific one. It's all changing your mindset about workflow and about basically any of the problem solving that you have to put together with it. And so I am doing some mounts, and these actually are pretty simple ones, but you know, once you get into, I didn't measure them.
But okay, so here's a question. Let's say you're making a mount for something, and let's say this this roll of tape is some priceless American artifact, you know, Kojak's wallet or something, and you've got to make a mount for it. It's not like they're going to bring you Kojak's wallet and just put it on your desk and let you work with it for a day. So how do you make something to the exact size of something you're not allowed to, you shouldn't be touching?
So what they'd really love to do is say, here's the measurements, can you just make it? And I'm like, well,
But
no.
objects don't behave so well, do they?
They don't, and every different object's material affects how you're able to mount it and where it is in the exhibit, changes how it's going to be mounted. So usually it's a lot of begging to come and
measure
have
it.
someone hold it while you don't touch it and measure it out. But I kind of like that too.
Is this a case also where are you bringing in some 3D printing and scanning techniques where they could bring you a scan or casting of the object to mount?
Yeah, we've actually done a few, worked off of a few different scans. Sometimes you take a scan and you alter it to mix it together. Sometimes it's taking a scan and printing it and then making your mount based off of the scan.
Right.
And that really is a huge part of what we do now, especially with our digitization office.
Right.
Now they're more of making digital assets so that we can further disperse that information to people.
Right.
But
it has this ancillary benefit for you.
yes. So we can take these, we get all different qualities of scans. Sometimes we will go and scan. That's actually quite a lot of the work that we do now is going to scan these really priceless objects and have curators breathe down your neck, which is fine. They're always the most interesting.
Now that would also seem to me to lead to a circumstance, tell me if this has happened, where you've scanned something, you have a print of it, you make your mount for it, and it's time to bring the two together, the real thing and your mount, and they still don't quite fit.
Yeah, you're like, come on. That's when you're like, I guess my mount is the one that suffers.
You know, I tell people that for me, making stuff, it used to be physical, but now the beginning part is much more mental. Like I do have to have the object in my head, and what you're describing is a really precise and institutionally important way you have to have the object in your head, because you have to think through, I'm making a thing that someone else, these things are all going to have to come together in a way that's still safe and archival. Yeah. That's not trivial.
No, it's not trivial, and we've worked with some really incredible, rare objects that even sometimes I can't believe they're even letting me breathe on this.
Do you have an example? I'd love to hear one.
We got to mount Thomas Jefferson's writing table that they believe he wrote part of the Constitution on. So that was pretty wild.
So you're there in the presence of this table.
Yeah.
And just a couple hundred years ago, this guy sat there. Wow, that's amazing.
It was the one he traveled with as well. And it was really, it's, these objects, you know, seeing pictures of them, it doesn't do it justice. And even seeing it behind glass doesn't do justice of the weight and the energy that you feel just being around something that you know has so much significance. And that was really also what pulled me into the museum world, was it felt like it was doing something. The education aspect of it, it made me feel like that work had significance in some way, even if it is something that, you know, it's hard to, you can't always talk shop with everyone about, like, let me tell you about what I brazed today. That's great.
I'm noticing in your skill base, in addition to you being able to make things handily, that you are excellent at communication. I mean, it strikes me that, like, you are invested in the teaching mission here, as well as the making mission.
Part of, I guess you would call it the tenacity of, when I wrote in for my internship, basically what I did was saved up a bunch of money, had to maybe stop paying for some other things, and took a huge leap of faith and quit my job to do the internship full time here. Wow. I didn't really know what it was going to come out of it, but I wrote, I took a friend's advice, and she said, you know what, even if you sound kind of dorky, you should really write from the heart when you write up your application. And I did, and I think I used the word, the Smithsonian is a national treasure. But, you know, I've been here a year, and I still really believe that. I really believe in what we do here, and to work behind the scenes, to get into the meat of what it is and find that this institution with this incredible reputation owns up to it at every level, and to feel respected and appreciated in my job around these people who are willing to share so much passion and information with me has been really incredible.
Willow, I am so inspired by your example. Thank you so much for giving me a tour of your desk here, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming by.